Okay, let's just dive right into this. We're talking about an event that has absolutely sent shockwaves around the globe. A sitting president captured by a foreign military. It's just unprecedented. So, those were the words of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. But get this, he wasn't speaking from his presidential palace in Caracas. Nope. He said that from a defendant's table in New York City. He was captured in a truly daring U.S. military raid and brought straight to Manhattan to face federal charges.
So the big question is, how on earth does something like this even happen? It's a stunning turn of events with some absolutely massive implications. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the raid that led to this moment, we'll look at the dangerous power vacuum it created, and we'll unpack the international firestorm that it has just ignited.
All right, first things first. Let's look at the actual charges against Maduro, because this is the official U.S. justification for taking such an extraordinary step.
And look, these are not minor charges. Maduro is facing some incredibly serious federal accusations. We're talking narco-terrorism, which is basically the accusation that he used the power of his government to help drug traffickers as a kind of weapon against the United States. Add to that conspiracy to import cocaine and illegal possession of machine guns. These aren't just political jabs. If he's convicted, he's facing a very, very long prison sentence.
Okay, so that's the what. Now for the how. How did they actually pull this off? Let's break down the incredible military operation that literally plucked a head of state from his country and put him in a U.S. courtroom. So according to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, this mission got the green light on a Friday night. And the speed was just unbelievable. From the moment it started to the moment it was over, the entire operation took just a little over 2 hours. Think about that.
And the scale of this, it's staggering. The operation kicked off with a massive air component. We're talking 150 aircraft. Their main job was to completely dismantle Venezuelan air defenses and basically clear a path right into the capital.
So once that path was clear, in come the helicopters. They transported nearly 200 elite Special Forces troops directly into Caracas with one single mission: find and capture Maduro. But, an operation like this is never clean. It came at a real human cost. U.S. forces apparently met what was described as strong resistance. Now, while no American lives were lost, 7 soldiers were wounded. But when you look at the other side, the numbers are pretty grim. Over 80 Venezuelan casualties and 32 Cuban military and ministry personnel were reported killed.
So, with Maduro suddenly gone, he's in U.S. custody, that leaves a massive, critical question just hanging in the air. Who is actually in charge of Venezuela now?
And what's left is this total power struggle. You've got 3 different, totally conflicting claims to who's running the show. First, there's Maduro's own vice president, Delcy Rodriguez. She stepped up, but she's calling Maduro a hostage and says he's still the real president. Then you've got the opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, who's demanding that her guy be recognized as president. And finally, you have the U.S. president himself stating that America will now govern the country and control its oil. I mean, this is so much more than a political squabble. It's a recipe for profound instability. A nation already in crisis being pushed towards total chaos.
And here's where it gets really fascinating. You'd think after all this time trying to get rid of Maduro, the Trump administration would just back the opposition, right? Well, nope. They've refused to recognize the opposition's claim. And the reasoning? Apparently, senior officials are afraid that backing them now could make things even more unstable. So, they've opted for a strategy of direct control instead. It's a huge twist in the story.
Okay, so all of this brings us right to the heart of the controversy. The official U.S. justification for doing this versus the really severe international backlash.
And man, the divide here is just stark. The U.S. administration frames this whole thing as a police operation. Now, that specific term is crucial. They're using it because in their view, it lets them bypass getting approval from Congress, which a formal act of war would need. But a huge part of the world sees it very, very differently. Even close U.S. allies in multiple Latin American nations have come out and condemned the raid as a blatant violation of international law, an act of aggression.
So, where do we go from here? Right now, there are 2 huge, potentially conflicting stories unfolding at the same time. One is personal, and the other is totally geopolitical.
And this is really the key point. While Maduro's personal fate gets decided in a Manhattan courtroom, his country's entire future, its government, its sovereignty, its vast oil reserves, all of that is hanging in the balance, and it's subject to the decisions of a foreign power.
What we're seeing here is a massive collision course. The principles of national sovereignty are just clashing head-on with the U.S. administration's goals of law enforcement and geopolitical control. and there are absolutely no easy answers.
And that is the critical question this whole unprecedented event leaves for the world to consider. What kind of precedent does this set for international relations, and what does it all mean for the future of Venezuela? The answers? Well, they are yet to be written.